I always talk about Bolgheri as a patch of paradise, because it's different. It's a different area. You will discover with me today why, but it's completely different from the inland and from the rest of Tuscany, and the results are completely different. So, well, at least in our estate, Sangiovese didn't grow up so well enough to produce an important bread. So the only good result we could have was a very nice rosé. So we were, to be honest, the first wine producers of the area. If you think in wine about a quality product to be sold, okay? And then, well, at the same time, more or less, Mr. Incisa della Rocchetta was building his own stable, because the Incisa della Rocchetta family was always involved in horse business, not in wine. But Mr. Incisa came from Piedmont, and he didn't like Tuscan wines. He was a fanatic of French wines, so he wanted to drink wine at home. But he said, I want to make a wine that I like. So he started to produce wine. The first step was planting a vineyard of Cabernet Sauvignon just behind that castle on the east side, okay, in 1944. Because he said, I want to drink a wine that I like. So he said, if I have to make wine by myself, I want to make it as I like. And a few years later, he planted also vineyard of Cabernet Franc, and he started to make this wine. He planted the vineyard on the east side because at that time they thought that side was the best for the wine. The west side was considered too close to the sea, to the ocean, and they say that the wine was salty. Nowadays we know was a wrong opinion, but we are talking about 1944, so knowledge about wine and the knowledge about wine in this area was so little. And well, then he was a pretty generous man, so he let taste the wine to all his workers. Workers, they were on all of this area, and they were used to rosé wine, so they couldn't appreciate that strong red wine. And so they said, well, Mr. Incisa, you're great with horses, but give up with wine. Fortunately, he didn't. And later tasted the wine to his friends and relatives, and also to Mr. Piero Antinori, the current owner of this estate. And Mr. Antinori went to visit his uncle, Mr. Mario Incisa della Rocchetta, and tasted the wine and said, wow, if you want, we can create a business together, because this wine is wonderful. And Mr. Incisa at the very beginning said, no, it's better, it's not my business. And then he said, okay, I take care about horses and you follow with the wine. So try you to sell it. And Mr. Antinori caught that train, so brought here the young enologist at that time, the young enologist of Tignanello Estate, Mr. Giacomo Takis, who is nowadays considered like a master of enology in Italy. They decided, they changed a little the style of the wine. They made the wine a little less traditional, a little more international. And then in 1968, the first vintage of Sassicaia was released. The wine was always produced by the Incisa della Rocchetta family, always, but was sold and distributed for 21 years by the Antinori family. Okay, so from 1968 to 1989. And well, during this period, things started to change here. I mean, people became more aware about the possibility to produce an imported red wine also in Bolgheri, because consider that this area in the past was a swamp, and for a long time after being drained, was considered an area of simple agriculture. So we were producers of melon, watermelon, tomatoes, potatoes. Donoratico, the small village that is very close to us, I mean next to us, was famous for strawberries, but not for wine. This area wasn't a typical wine area. Okay. So when Sassicaia was born, he created a little revolution in the area, and people started to believe about the potential of this area. Some families came from the north of Italy, like Grattamacco family, Meleti Cavallari family, who founded Grattamacco estate. Michele Satta, who founded his own estate, and of course in this area there were a young farmer called Mr. Campolmi, and he created another estate down there called Le Macchiole. Okay. Then at the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, also Mr. Ludovico Antinori, Piero Antinori's brother, he wanted to start his own project alone, so he wanted a part of this property. He had the hillside, and he founded there Ornellaia. So in the middle of the 80s, end of the 80s, when there was the boom of Super Tuscan wines, in this area there were only 6 wine producers, but 2 big Super Tuscans, both strongly linked with the Antinori family. Then in 1989, the Incisa della Rocchetta family wanted back the distribution of Sassicaia. Fortunately, at that time, we were ready to start our own project. So we started with the production of Guado al Tasso, and in 1990, the first vintage of Guado al Tasso was released. Well, starting from that moment, we splashed it completely in the Antinori philosophy of high quality. Okay, so please.
Sorry. Was the 1989 the first vintage, or was 1990?
1990.
90, okay. So
sorry.
No problem.
Until that moment we were mainly a farm and also winery. Starting from 1990, we became mainly a winery and also a farm, with a farm side.